Hey guys, Mike here. So, not a surprising day in the market to me, at least. I mean, we talked about this on Sunday. What kind of, what should actually happen with some consolidation. But there was one thing that stuck out, which I'll show you for sure. And then there was some announcements from some companies which moved their stocks, but they're kind of baffling when you think about the timing of these announcements, I guess. And I'll show you what I mean. And then, of course, the housing market. Oh boy. Yeah, we're gonna get into all that, but I mean the first one right out of the gates, this comes out around 11 o'clock on Twitter, and Amazon's gonna lay off 10,000 employees, right? So you go, okay, cool. Well, of course, what happens? Stocks just love that, right? I told you every time you get a layoff, and right there is where the news hit right there, and of course it went, alrighty then, let's do this. And it went ahead and started charging up after obviously selling off coming out of the gates that morning, right? That's what stopped the bleeding, and it just took off. And so those who got into calls right there were looking pretty. And so, that was a good one. And it kept going pretty much all day, not just there. It just kept going until the end of the day when everything sold off. And then, of course, FedEx came out Saturday and said they're going to start furloughing workers. They'll keep healthcare and stuff like that in their freight division. And of course, what happens though? Come into Monday morning and says, thank you very much. Goes up 2%, start trading sideways, sells off the end of the day, like everything else. But of course, I know these right here, the executives this morning, they're like, yeah, baby, here comes our bonuses. And you got to remember that. I mean, that's what goes into a lot of these decisions, right? They warned about this coming in, but this is what's weird about this is the holiday season, right? And you would think something like Amazon, FedEx, some others that announced layoffs, like they would be ramping up. Instead, they're like, no, we're furloughing and laying off. And so I definitely want to hear from Walmart and others tomorrow. Like, what are they looking at going into this Christmas season? Like, this is supposed to be the big season for some of these companies, right? And, I also understand what goes into this decision is management. They're like, look, man, year-end bonuses are coming up. That's just the truth. If you've ever been in management, you know this. Year-end bonuses, stock price needs to go up. We got to hit earnings in the fourth quarter. How do you do that? If we can't do it by generating more revenue, you cut your costs. What's the biggest cost? Employees. Okay. And, as one of my favorite movie clips of all time, Gordon Gekko will tell you,
greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works.
That's right, Gordon. And at least that's what they tell us. And so I just had a conversation with one of our neighbors the other day who wants to start his own company. He's like, man, and my brother-in-law who has his own small company, but he says it's tough now, man. It's tough. And he was raising a family to where all of them have small businesses and were very successful in the 80s, the 90s, early 2000s. But, all of them say the same thing. It's just tough. With these big conglomerates out here, you're trying to compete with them if you're in their kind of industry, and there's no such thing as a monopoly anymore because the government's getting paid off, right? And so, I feel for them, and it sucks because that's used to be the lifeblood of the country, as I showed you. I mean, still small businesses make up for, 47% of employees now, but I mean, it used to be a lot more than that. Unfortunately, that's just kind of gone to the wayside, and the companies are going to lay off around the holidays, which without fail, going to that fourth quarter are going to be big companies like this, right? And so hopefully those people are able to get a job somewhere else. But I hate to see that stuff happen during the holidays because I have been laid off before and it sucks, and it is a bad feeling. Let me tell you. And I tell you, I don't know how it is in your area, but like most of the people I'm talking to, like depending on what industry they're in, but certain industries for sure, like they're canceling their vacations they had planned. They're cutting back on eating out because they're just really nervous right now that they might get laid off because some of the industries are, sectors out there in the economy, it's rough, right? And I'm going to show you a little bit of that. But, going into what happened today, I mean, no surprise at all. This is totally psychological, by the way, but we said this. There's that 4,000 level. Bounced right off of it. Plus, it was the 618 Fibonacci level at the same time, trying to go into that golden pocket. And as soon as it hit it, see you later. MACD rolled over. And so, that was no surprise at all to a whole lot of people, and a whole lot of traders were just sitting there going, yep, we're out of this son of a gun. And what's crazy, though, is the VIX. You've seen days where the S&P's dropped 3% and the VIX went down with it, right? Well, now the S&P's named down 1% a day and the VIX popped 5.25. And if you look on the chart, what really stopped it was this, what used to be a support level, now is a resistance level right here. But you can see how volatile the VIX was there, right? Popped up, dropped like a rock, came back at the end of the day. So as you can see right here, rejected right off that resistance level, which in the last 4 trading days has done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that'd be the 7th time now, right off of it. And please don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, and share this video, guys. It really helps the channel out. Thank you very much. And so to me, this was just a really, really technical day, right? Technical levels were be either challenged, and you were getting rejections and supports. I mean, look at Apple. Apple was rolling, got to 150, that key level, right? And I put it in the Discord. I was like, man, Apple's trying to break out. Netflix is trying to close this gap finally. Bulls are really trying to push, and then the sell-off happened at the end of the day. And, you know, what do you need? You need some consolidation. I mean, look what happened Thursday and Friday, right? That was a huge move for 2 days. I mean, just crazy moves. And so this doesn't surprise me a single bit. And plus, don't forget, we'll go over this, but what's happening tomorrow, right? You got PPI coming out. And so, you know, I don't think a lot of people want to bet against that. And then you got Walmart, Home Depot, Krispy Kreme in the morning, which, I mean, I don't think Krispy Kreme is going to move the markets, but people would definitely be listening to what Walmart has to say, and Home Depot for sure. There's no doubt about that. Advanced Auto Parts in the afternoon just for the heck of it. But right now, what's happening in the market? Speaking of one of the sectors that's been under a lot of pressure, and it's real estate, right? I mean, you see stocks and crypto have been massacred, crypto especially lately, but the Grim Reaper has been knocking on the real estate door, and it's pretty simple. Why? I mean, look at this right here. This came out today. It's like weakest home buying conditions on record, right? And I'm pretty sure the left, there had to be something going on in the 70s there. This goes back to like, well, the late 70s, actually. It does go back to that. But I would think in 74, 77, it had to be worse. But if you just look, I mean, when this goes up, it's not a good thing. Okay, this comes from the University of Michigan, and so when they put out all their sentiment indicator and things of that nature, but you can see this is higher than what it was in the late 70s, early 80s. You can see at the bottom, that's the index for buying conditions related to interest rates, and it hadn't quite hit the 80s and level there, but it is right at it, as you can see. And to give you an idea, like what we're talking about here, I mean, here's what we're talking about now: 30-year fixed mortgage is around 7.08%. For the average new home price is $518K. That means that's $25,000 more in down payment, assuming a 20% down payment, and 114% increase in the monthly payment. And just to go ahead and drive this home even more, as you can see right here, this is the home price to median income ratio. And the only thing holding on this thing is people are making more money. Can you imagine if we were still making what we were making in 2020 and 2021? But as you can see, this thing is above the 08 level when you had that housing bubble. And you see where we're at right there. And so we're quite a ways above that. And I don't know why when I read that, I think of this Homer Simpson meme, which I love. And of course, what's the Fed want? They want the real estate industry to correct. They say multiple Fed presidents. Matter of fact, there was one out there Sunday pissing in our Cheerios, right? Pissing on the market, saying, hey, you know, we're probably going to raise, 50 basis points in December. But that don't mean just because we're coming down from 75 that we're not going to continue to raise. It's not about what you do every month. It's about the end goal, right? And we're going to be, if their goal is achieved, at higher interest rates than we've been at in years, right? And we know how fragile this market is. Give me a break. And so, but the market most likely will look at that and go, oh, it's 50 basis points, and then just keep rallying like crazy, right? That's probably what it's going to be, and then ramp it up. And of course, there's a cycle we go through every time with the Fed and all that stuff, with the pivot and everything else. And I'll do a more detailed video on that. But, we've gone through this before. But, again, the Fed, they want, and what's the first thing that gets hit? The housing market. The big ticket items, the cars, that kind of stuff, the car industry, stuff like that. And so, that's almost unavoidable. I mean, you see those prices, and the way I look at it, I always tell everybody, talk to people in your bubble. When I look at it, when I see people I know that make really good money, and even they're canceling vacation plans for the holidays, and they're not going out as much because they work in those areas where they're like, yeah, I think, we've been laid off before during recessions, during cycles, so we're trying to save up. All right, when I see that going on, I'm like, because I know at least half the country lives paycheck to paycheck because most of them just don't know how to do a budget and literally just can't do it. I mean, I've so many people I know that are like that, where they're just like, I got the money, the paycheck's coming in, and it goes right out the door. I know you know people like that. It's like, my God. But then they complain to you about not having any savings or money or anything like that. And you're like, why don't you quit going to McDonald's every day and going out to dinner every Saturday, Sunday, right? But they do it. And so if responsible people are sitting there going, getting a little nervous now, we're going to start buckling down. That means if the recession hits, that's when we get in real trouble because so many people aren't responsible enough to do it, right? They don't bother informing themselves. They're too busy looking for the latest, funny cat video versus trying to look at, what's a recession? Are we going to recession? Trying to do, instead of doing what you people are doing, where you're subscribing to stuff, reading books, all this other stuff, trying to learn and figure out, and trying to anticipate what's going to happen. They're just too busy going to Six Flags and Disney and living on the credit cards, right? And then when bad things hit and they lose their job, it's like falling off a cliff for them. And there's a whole bunch of them. It's probably, you got to be what? You think a third of the country? I think it's 50% myself. But, I guess if you're just conservative about it, a third of the country at least, which is why when we hit moderate recessions, it's so bad because we just have they don't teach in high school, I guess. I mean, we weren't taught in high school, maybe they don't, how to actually deal with your finances. My wife and I had that conversation. We had a conversation just last week about it. I said, we're fine. Why do we not stress about it? Why can't I sleep about it? Because we pay off the credit cards every month. Only debt we have is the house. That's it. And we have a 2% mortgage. I feel fine. Is it going to suck? Sure. But I'm not worried about losing the house. Anything else, we're fine. I couldn't, I don't know about you, but I couldn't sleep living because I grew up that way. My mom, paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, getting evicted, all that crazy mess. Like, that is stressful, man. And so I just can't do it. And there's too many resources out there now to help you to not be like that. And so if you're one of those people, I'm not passing judgment on you. I'm just saying, good Lord, like, help yourself. And if you want to help yourself, help your kids, please. Like, because you'll be helping America. Believe it or not, if you actually do that, right? And so there'll be less evictions, and less foreclosures, and less cars getting repossessed, and I don't want to see it happen to you, right? And I don't want to see it happen to anybody for that matter. So anyway, that was a tangent I got off on right there. I apologize. But, that's where we're at tomorrow. It's all about the PPI, right? I mean, and the thing is, I'm not going to make any bet on it because there may be a calculation like with the medical expenses and CPI that drove it down and let it get below expectations. There might be some calculation in the PPI that we're just unaware of that might do the same thing. And so I'm not even gambling either way on that one, right? I closed any trade positions I had out today. I'm not risking it. It is what it is. And so let me know what you're doing in the comments and what you think is going to come in at if you feel confident about it. So anyway, hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow.